Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another Friday night of Let's Talk Benchrest with Kentucky Rimfire and Hobbies. Glad to see everybody out there in the side chat tonight. It was kind of slow there for a minute, and then all of a sudden, when the intro started playing, it took off. So glad to see everybody over there tonight. Feel free to engage in this discussion as we go along. And tonight, we're going to talk about some actions. Um, And if we get through actions, we might bump into triggers just a little bit. So, without further ado, we'll introduce the guys in the back room. If I can get them out of the popcorn machine long enough to talk, we'll get this thing rolling. First up, we have Justin Lowe from here in Kentucky. How are you, Justin?
Doing great. Glad to be here tonight and talk about actions tonight. We're about to get this rifle built, I believe.
Yeah, we're just going one piece at a time, kind of
Face
like
of the
the old
time.
cat, like the old Cadillac, Johnny Cash.
Yep.
Up next, we got Rimfire Dave. How's your week been, buddy?
It has been up and down, windy, rainy, and fishing season opened up. So I'm just
Yeah,
glad to be here.
Good
Good
times.
to see y'all.
I'm still fascinated with your 1,000 fish a year goal, and you succeed at that. So uh, that's awesome, and it's catch and release.
Yes, everyone's back in the creek.
All right. Well, up next is Hasbro, and
Hey, good evening, guys.
he might tell us about some BB gun actions.
Oh, no. I'm busy working on a next 1022 build. Finally working
Oh,
on a kid barrel, and we'll see how it goes. I
yep.
don't think it's going to beat my others, but we'll see.
New rabbit hole. I see we
I'm right
got
in the middle of the
walnut.
frustrations of rebuilding a trigger, and it's frustrating.
Oh, I
See,
hate
we got
1022
Walnut and
triggers.
Steel over in the side chat calling out to me. How you,
Hey,
Gibbs? Uh, Thanks for being on, Hasbro. We'll move right on and we'll introduce Mike from MN Shooting Sports.
Hey everyone, nice to be here again. Glad to see y'all. Uh, Tomorrow I am going to be shooting the first. Well, it's not the first. It'll be the second or third PRS match of 2025 that I've shot. This is going to be the first one where it's not frigid outside and I'm sitting in snow doing it. But just got done laminating the stage cards and doing up my data or dope cards for the match that I help host and put on down here.
When is your long gone match again?
May 18th, Sunday, May 18th.
Starting to get some more
So
traction there.
I lost a couple of people. I was up to 17, not including myself registered, and then I had 3 people that withdrew here this week from it. So
It's a
once they
shame.
start seeing the prize table, they're gonna flock to it.
Yeah,
They'll be back.
got a mystery box back there from
But
Vortex right now.
yeah, and if the people that don't flock to it and that don't come and don't see it, and I'm putting it out there here locally, guys, but the people that don't, they're going to hear about it from everybody else because people are going to walk away with 2, 3 gifts worth 5, 6 times what their entry fee of the match was. So, just
It's
saying.
awesome. I'm all about the free stuff.
Yeah, I'd like to keep a bunch of it for myself, but I
Yeah.
can't do that. So.
You need to open that Vortex box. It might have a big razor in there or something.
Yeah, well, we're gonna save that for right now, but it's twice as big as the one that they sent me a few days ago or last week. So
Yeah, that's awesome. All
oh, there
right,
you
well,
go.
up next we got George from Southern Rifle. How you doing this week, buddy?
Doing pretty good. Doing
You
pretty good.
enjoying this Kentucky weather up and down, up and down?
Jesus, man, can't catch a break, buddy.
I'd turn the heat
Dogwood
back
winter.
on and I'd turn the heat back
I,
on today.
I just took my boggin off so I can be on camera, buddy.
uh, all right. Well, not least, we got the American Hillbilly. And he's muted. Oh,
Hey,
there he is.
fellas, how y'all doing?
Howdy,
Evening.
hillbilly.
Well,
You ready for action? I mean, to talk action?
yeah, I heard that there's going to be some action in here tonight. So,
Oh, Lordy. Yeah, so we started off talking about the cleaning process, and we introduced ourselves, and then we moved into scopes, and we talked barrels, and we kind of decided that we're just going to kind of push this thing along as if we're building a rifle. So we're going to move forward into actions and possibly get into a little bit of triggers, and um, we'll just keep moving forward. So like next week we may talk stocks and stock selection, or stocks or chassis or whatever. But tonight let's talk action. So like I said earlier, everybody may not have an answer on these topics. If you don't have an answer, just pass it on to the next person. And I encourage the side chat to also engage in these topics as well. And let us know what you got going on. I know there's plenty of you out there that's probably built a rifle or put something together, and we like to hear your side of things also. So Justin helped me put the itinerary together tonight. So he's like he he puts a little more thought into it than I do. I get stumped sometimes, so I lean on to him for assistance. So what he's got first here is, so from the perspective that money is no concern, what rimfire bolt action uh, would you consider the best? And it's a two-part question. So the second part of this question is, what is the best economical action for the money? So Justin, I'll let you go ahead and start on that, since it's your wheels
Yeah.
spinning there.
I guess, if money's no option, going to build something current production, what you could get a hold of. I guess like a whole shot or a turbo, I guess, would be, the that. Um, the budget friendly, I guess, would be probably is it Lone Star? Is that the action we've been talking about, Chad?
Yep.
Yeah. Who's that made by? PGW or
Um,
Pacific Tool and Gauge.
yeah. Yep.
It's like a clone of the 40X action, and they're around $500. So that it's a threaded action. That'd be a real good budget friendly action to build from. And they use a 700 style trigger, I'm pretty sure.
Yes, 700 style trigger, and it is a Lone Star by PPG.
PPG, yeah.
Yep.
I think it's a
So
sister company of the first company I said.
yeah,
Uh,
so that's the action that I'm actually going to go with, building my rifle. Just for my first build, I'm trying to stay within my means here. I don't want to end up with $4,000 in a rifle. So we're going to try that action for the first go, and then of course I told you last week that I was going to try a Douglas barrel, which is also, I mean, I wouldn't call it budget. It's right there with the rest of them. I mean, it might be $20 or $30 cheaper, but Douglas that's a good name. So that's the route we're going with our first build, is the Lone Star PPG action and the Douglas barrel. And so, what about you, Dave? What is your ideal action if money was no concern, and what's the best economical action for the money?
Well, the best rimfire action, I'll have to say, is probably a Swindlehurst. But they only made 200 of them, so they're hard to find. I've had several of them, but the most actions are probably the ones that copy the 700 footprint, like the PTGs and the Stiller actions, whether it's a Trident, a whole shot, a 2500. They're probably the best going out there. And then the turbos are pretty good. I don't know which one is better, but for the economical, personally, I would buy a 457 CZ because you can buy a barrel from Lilja and a couple other companies, put it right in like you do a 1022. So you could build your own rifle and it would be very accurate. I think that's what I would do if I wanted to stay in a budget. If my first build, I would go with the 457 and with a drop-in barrel.
Okay.
That's the way I would go.
What about you, Hillbilly? Have you given any thought to building you a custom rifle?
Man, not too much. I mean, yeah, I've want to someday, but you know, I just don't have a whole lot of knowledge on this. So, I would be, kind of when it comes time doing a lot of research, listening to, YouTubers, people like you guys and stuff that's built some. But I I was thinking kind of like what Dave said there. I was like, maybe I would just, maybe get a CZ or something and, maybe go from there. So I wasn't for sure.
Hasbro, what's your take on it?
Well, if I had my rathers, it's probably going to be, and I hate to say this, Rimex, but I'm really holding out for Kenny's new action he's working on at DPG Gunworks. I think that's the way I'm going to end up going with that for the higher end, and I'll go with one of his barrels too. But the
go ahead and let the cat out of the bag. You've already been talking to Kenny.
Well, I have been, but yeah, I have been. But as far as actions, Dave's dead on. The CZ it's well, a lot of people don't consider that cheap. You can get a rifle for $500-600, strip everything off of it. You're really just buying the action, put in a Lilja 10 trigger, and you're competitive. You're really competitive. And I have one that's just, it's amazing. It's amazing what you can get with that. So to get to
That's right.
fairly high-end shooting gun, that's probably the cheapest route that I know of, anyway.
So I'd like to shout out to J Delta 22NC. Thanks for getting on, buddy. He sent me a message earlier and said he was going to try to be here, and he made it. So glad to have you, buddy. What about you, Mike? If you could build a rifle and money went an object, what action do you think you'd go with? And then what action do you think is best economical for the money?
Well, let's knock the economical right out of the park right now. It's a Savage Mark II.
Well,
and anybody that begs to differ, come shoot with me someday and bring your $4,000 gun out. Now, I don't have enough knowledge on rimfire, Benchrest, custom builds and stuff. I don't know the difference between pinned and threaded when it comes to the rimfire world. So what I will say, if money was no option, like some of my dreamy killer to me precision Benchrest type 22s out there that I wish I could have bought but had to bow out on Gunbroker were some really beautiful uh, uh, super match 54s and stuff like that from the late 50s, some ant shoot stuff. I mean, I look at him, I just go, oh, it's got to shoot. But I actually know a guy that's got one that's got like a 2-inch trigger in it. The gun is beautiful. And if he would do a little bit better job, he would beat me with my Mark II. But, they're just, I love those super match 54s that Anschutz put out. So I'll leave it there. I would like to make a point on the People have mentioned about the CZ and buying an entire rifle. If you find the right dealer, broker, gun shop, you might be able to just buy a barreled action too. Because my guy Troy at DST Precision, he has and has in the past, I should say, sold just barreled actions of everything that everybody's going to want to talk about. So you
Really?
can buy that without getting the whole gun. But you got to have someone that's got the inside track on how to get that kind of stuff from the manufacturer.
Yeah, I've seen Bagara barreled actions also. Yep.
Yep.
George,
Well,
if
I
money,
thought I
if
would be the
money,
only one that said Swindlehurst, but that was one of the best actions ever made, in my opinion. Had one, and I've kicked myself 2 million times for selling it. But I made $300, not a poor ball, so I had to let it go. 40X's, man. 40X's clones is what I would, recommend to somebody. I guess that Bagera, like you were talking about, I mean, that's basically a Remington clone.
Yep.
Anything you can buy a good trigger for, the 457s, of course, you can get a good trigger for those. But if I were to build something right now, it would be on, a 40X or something similar to it with that footprint. As far as automatics go, I don't know. I'll leave that to y'all.
all right. So we'll go around the room again here, and we'll talk about what's your pick for a custom semi-auto action. And I've never had a custom action other than the two that I have, and they're both made by uh, CST, Custom Shooting Technologies, um, and I love them. I mean, they're all billet, and I was trying to see if I actually pulled a picture up of them. I'm not. Yeah, right there. So this is the CST receivers, and you can get them with the integrated scope rail, or you can get them without. You can get them with 10 MOA, 20 MOA, 30 MOA built into the integrated rail. And what I like about these actions, if you can see it on those, the bottom one's probably the best right there, but they got that tang in the back. And, most 1022s only has one action screw, but you can customize your stock and drill it and put a second screw in the rear of that action, and it really stiffens up that action. And I have two of them that I've used and put the rear screw in, and you can, that tang is removable, so you can choose to use it or not use it. But I thought, well, it's got to help. And to me, that's always been a weak point with the 1022, is only having that one action screw there holding that whole barrel and everything. So those two actions that I got two screws in, and I've torqued them to the torque specs that I feel like they like, and they're absolutely hammers. I mean, they're great shooting guns. So moving around the room, Justin, semi-auto, what would it be?
Probably the same action as you were saying there, Chad. That second action screw definitely would help out with bedding, especially with the longer, 24 and 28-inch barrels. That would definitely keep from having as much droop pulling it out of the bedding. I'm not real familiar with semi-autos, but I think Volportson makes an action, and Summit makes that action, that straight pull bolt action that you have. That's about all I've seen on that platform. But
Yeah, that's the summit action I have, and I I'm not going to sit here and say that that's the way to go, because that's one of those that I have that is very temperamental. I mean, you have to have the headspace just right. Um, Now I've had mine. It will shoot. Mine's a PWS, so that's who had it before. Bakortson took it over, but it's still the same setup. All the parts are interchangeable. I got it in a trade when I first got into Benchrest, and I thought it would be cool to have a 1022 style rifle that was break action to where you could hold all your gases forward and maybe it would increase the accuracy. But in all honesty, that break action, it won't hold a lot to the 1022s that I've built. So, Dave, what about you? Semi-autos? You have an opinion on those?
My knowledge of semi-autos is about nil. I have a 1022 off the shelf. I think I shot it 20 times, and it's back on the shelf. I don't have much of opinion about them. Sorry, I just don't
Really?
shoot them.
Oh, that's fine. Hillbilly.
Yep.
Yeah, man, I guess 1022, is really most or pretty much what I've shot when it comes to the semi, um, that style. But I'm just hoping the High Point will come out with one soon.
Oh goodness.
If it can bust hard seltzers at 50 yards, I'll be happy.
Now, Celtic may do it, Hillbilly.
Yeah, word Celtic, definitely.
Yeah.
Um, Hasbro, how about you? You're fooling with a 1022 as we speak.
I've got a, well, my wife may be watching. I can't tell you how many I have, but I have several. We'll put it that way. And one is totally factory and it's not changing. Okay, so that's sort of the benchmark. Except I did free float the front end, so maybe not quite factory. Um, the one I built the most with is the Brownells receiver, believe it or not. I've had really good luck with that Brownells receiver. Now, it has the same kind of deal like you're talking about. It's still just standard 1022 with a single bolt. And in my MDT Oryx chassis, that's not an issue. It's still really rigid and held in really well. But in this new KRG Bravo chassis that I bought for this new one I'm building, I can sit there and I called them and worked with them several times, but the clearance in the front end is not enough. And I can take that front of that action or the chassis and grab the barrel and do this and make them hit. That's not okay.
No.
And so I'm working on some shims to push it up to make sure it never hits and that kind of thing. But at the same time, I'm just about ready to pull the trigger on the kid receiver with the rear tang because it's the drop end of that chassis. And that just means I just wasted money on a Brownells receiver. I don't know. I don't know exactly what I'll do there. I'm trying to try everything else first and then take that step because that's a lot of money. So that's sort of it. So Brownells, I built a lot of. I have a standard Ruger with a Feddersen barrel that shoots really, really well. It's the one I shot all the pop cans with. But my most accurate one is still the Brownells receiver, the Green Mountain barrel, the Kid bolt, Kid trigger, and the MDT Oryx chassis.
So Vince Ratliff's talking over here in the side chat saying Jeremiah's made a believer out of him, Thompson centerfire. So Jeremiah's been shooting with us for the past 3 years, and the only 22 rifle he had was a Thompson center, and he's done a little bit of trigger work to it. He rebarreled it. He kept looking for ways to improve the gun, and Justin looked at it one day and told him, he had too much stock flex, so he took his stock and epoxy bedded the stock and stiffened it up and made it stiff. And I held the high score in the semi-auto class for 2 years straight with a 236 out of 250. And Jeremiah came in 2 shoots ago and took that record away from me and shot a 239. And I shot a 235 the same day, so I was 4 points behind him. So like we're like chasing each other. So yeah, he has a Thompson center that he has made to be an awesome shooting rifle. And sometimes I think that's what it takes is to take one rifle and spend all your time with it and get used to it, work the bugs out of it,
Yep.
and if you know, you know.
Yep.
So
You
that's what
you've
Ben.
seen this one. I'll show you that one. You've seen this one. This is what a 1022 can do. That's a 108 5-shot group and a Green Mountain barrel. Ely
I love
semi-automatic Benchrest. So when you
love the
work on
green.
them, you're exactly right. Now it won't do that every day, but it'll stay at 0.3 or better. So you're right. You got to work with sometimes what you have. So
So what
The
about you,
rifle.
Mike?
Go
You
ahead.
you you dabble in the semi-auto much?
Uh, as far as a modern semi-auto, I've got one. I've got the budget 1022 that I bought last summer. Done a few videos and kind of showcased that a little bit, and that thing's really promising. Actually, it's a bone, plain Jane bone stock Ruger 1022 in a Hogue overmold with a heavy barrel on it, threaded, end, front sight, and rear peep sight. So it had iron sights on it with a pick rail. But I've got a video that I did a couple of months ago over this winter. The SK Showdown with 1022 or something like that, I called it. And with Pistol Match Special, that thing shot some .28 and .3 inch 50-yard groups. So, and that's the only thing that's been done to that is I put a a BX $80 trigger assembly in it to bring the trigger down a little bit. Otherwise, to me, it shoots, and that's with the CV Life 6 to 24 scope on it too. The big old thick crosshairs on it, right? So, I mean, anything can shoot. I guess is what I'm kind of saying. Now to get the groups that Hasbro just put up there. No, I'm not doing that kind of stuff. That one jagged hole with it, but uh, there's some old stuff that'll shoot. If you go back and look at some of the things I've done with some old vintage rifles with some 1.5 and 4 power out of the Stevens Clickety Clack collection of 87s and 85s, I've got a couple of rifles that will compete with that too. Uh, the problem is that you can only mount stuff that's got like a 3/4 inch tube on it on those rifles because there's just no other way to mount anything. But uh, I don't know. That's my extent. Is I've got a handful, like 5 vintage clickety clack Stevens semi-autos, and I've got one 1022, and the 1022's been promising.
Yeah, there's one. Uh, living in West Virginia, a 1965, or Steve, I should have said. Steve, look here,
George.
George says I'll pass. He's not a semi-auto guy, but
Maybe the George.
Steve
I like your sign, George.
uh, Steve says he built a 1022 factory receiver, kid 20-inch barrel, tandem crossbow, McCourts and trigger kit, MDT Oryx chassis, and it shoots very well with SK semi-auto. So yeah, I got two that's built with one's built off of a stock action, and it's a kid barrel with a kid trigger and a Bell and Carlson stock, and it shoots Lapua Cinerex extremely well. And then the other one is one of the CST custom actions, and it's just in a Magpul Hunter stock with the 20-inch kid barrel, and it's got a factory trigger with the Vakortson parts upgrade kit in it, and it shoots Cinerex really well. Like I can I can destroy a KYO rack with it. I mean, it it shoots awesome. Um, guys, it's time to call out the side chat. So if you guys want to type the word action in the side chat, then we'll get Hillbilly to call your name out here just in a few moments. And moving on, we're going to talk next about the rest of the stuff we got, George, is for bolt actions. So you should be able to engage in conversation. So
Appreciate that.
going around the room, uh, and this may tell us what kind of shooter you are, because I know if you're a true Benchrest shooter, you prefer one over the other. So uh, single shot or repeater, George?
Single shot all day.
Yeah, I figured that. Mike?
I for bench press shooting, just even screw around single shot again all day long. So many advantages.
Bro?
Single shot.
Bro?
My only single shot is a Stevens 15A. I knew Mike would like that one. So I can't say, in Benchrest centerfire, single shot would be the choice for a dedicated gun.
So Abigail Finnegan is talking about avoid the Savage 64F. The trigger jiggles more than a Latina woman's thighs. Funny. So before I started hosting competitions, this all started with me and two buddies, and we would get together and we would compete against each other shooting 22s. And we got a crazy idea one day that we was going to chip in and we was going to buy a rifle, and then we was going to have a shoot, and whoever won the shoot got the rifle. So we all chipped in money and we bought a Savage 64, but it was called the Precision model, which by no means was it precision. And I won that rifle. I won that match. I won that rifle. But one of the guys I was shooting against, he was expecting a granddaughter, and he was like, "Man, I wanted to win that rifle so I could give it to Harper for her first rifle." And the rifle was at my house. I purchased it and I kept it until the day of the match. And when I got the rifle out to take to the range that day, I took a Sharpie and wrote on the back of the box, Harper. I won that match, and I turned around and gave Mike that gun,
Oh, that's
and he
cool.
and he gave it to Harper for her first rifle. So,
That's awesome.
Wow.
anyways, it
Hey,
was not a. I did shoot it before I gave it away. It wasn't pleasant.
what do I have to do to get you to write Hasbro on one of your 52Ds?
Tell it with the same story, guys.
Maybe farther on down the alphabet of them, Hasbro.
Yeah. Well, Hillbilly, you prefer single feeding or magazine fed?
Well, actually, I've not shot really only one 22 long rifle that is single feed. I liked it. I thought it was great. But I've shot center fire, that's single feed, and I really like that. But yeah, I think it's if you're shooting targets or like in center fire, if you're hunting game or whatever, and get the accuracy down, that one shell in there, and make sure that shot counts.
So the garage guy's talking about the 64. He says the trigger's okay. It's a fun plinker. It is a fun plinker, but the trigger was definitely not a precision trigger. I think I put a trigger gauge on that 64, and it was almost 6.5 pounds.
Oh,
More than the
A
rifle.
little heavy for Benchrest.
Yeah, it was a little heavy.
You pick the rifle up by the trigger.
Yeah.
That's a
Dave.
good mil. That's a good mil spec gun right there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
that's a safe gun.
Dave, you prefer single feed or magazine fed?
Single feed all the way.
I knew that. So Justin prefers single feed unless he's running a race on a KYL rack.
Yeah, then that's unfair advantage there.
Yeah, I was going to ask you if that 6 pound trigger come with one of these to build up that trigger finger.
You need it. You need it. You wasn't it you that had sore fingers one day after shooting?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Poor guy.
switched over to left-handed.
Yeah. So
Yeah, and
So I like single feed. Depends on what you're doing. I mean, if you're shooting PRS or something, then the Voodoos and Remexes are okay. But for Benchrest accuracy, I like single feeding. The reason why nobody's mentioned that, but in case nobody knows, is to keep from bending the bullet tip, or shaving lead while you're feeding. So
yeah, keep
single
Yeah.
feed actions, the bullet glides right in, goes straight in the chamber.
I'd also say that it slows you down.
Oh yeah,
You know,
yeah,
it makes you think about what you're going to do and get back to the fundamentals of breathing, relaxing,
yeah,
where it's just too easy to just rack a bolt and
yeah.
then get your, trigger finger right again, just squeeze, too
Keep making
quickly.
the same mistake.
Yep,
It lets
yep,
you reset and yeah,
yep.
slows you down.
Abigail, you're not wrong. I mean, if you spend the right amount of time with your rifle and you know your rifle, I mean, I can shoot a heavy trigger. I just don't prefer it when it comes down to competition. So, and shout out to Boomstick down there. He said, I have a Savage 64 or a 64 Precision. He said, ugh. And Boomstick, I think you got every budget 22 rifle known to man.
yeah, he's got some good ones too.
Yeah,
But
he
yeah,
does.
Yeah.
he's got a
Yeah,
lot of.
yeah. So yeah, I prefer single feed when I can. I'm really looking forward to building this new rifle because I'm going to build it with the right hand bolt, left hand port, so I can run the bolt off of this side and feed off of this side. And my 52A is made that way. It's the the action's cut all the way through, so I can run the bolt over here and I can feed the round from the left, and that makes it nice. I wouldn't want to single feed if I had to single feed from the bolt side, um, because I'd be constantly raising my head and looking, and just I'd rather stay mounted to the rifle and work it off the left side. So that's one thing I'm looking forward to about this new rifle I'm going to build is it's going to be a right hand bolt, left hand port. So
Well, another great advantage about single feed is when you're reaching over to grab that next bullet, you can get a drink of beer, when you're grabbing your bullet. So.
I guess
Drink a bit.
Well, there's the PG rating.
some people some people do it, I suspect.
Yep.
So all right, next topic about the action. Do you prefer a threaded action or a pinned action as far as the way the barrel attaches to the action? And I'm gonna say threaded. I think the threaded barrel is a better lockup. You can time it just right, and you don't have to worry about anything uh, getting loose or barrel droop. Or I think it helps with all the above. So just to me, pinned there's more wear points there for the barrel to get loose or whatever. I I don't know if my thinking is correct, but that's my opinion. So, Justin,
Threaded all the way. It's just a better method, I think. More adjustable on headspace and all that.
Dave?
Well, I think you need to know why rifles are pinned. And most of them are pinned by the manufacturer so you can't fool with them.
Mm.
You know, it is so difficult to get that groove where that pin goes exactly correct. So on a threaded one, a lot of people, if you work in a machine shop, you can thread a barrel and screw it on and get it dead on. But when they're pinned, you got to have some really, really good equipment. And I think that's why the manufacturers do that. So you can't take their actions and build another rifle with them. And of course, so I'm threaded actions all the way. That's just my opinion, of course.
I know Hillbilly likes his threaded, but he likes it threaded on the other end.
Yeah. Yep. Thread on both ends. I mean, heck.
Yeah.
That way it don't matter which side you put the barrel on.
You can turn it around when it starts wearing
Yeah.
out one way, just flip it around,
You,
kind of like a mattress, you know?
you clean the carbon out that way.
Yeah. All right. Hasbro?
I've done both, but definitely threaded in the end is going to be the best way. You can get the others good, but you're relying a lot on some really tight fits and very, very careful machining. Threading kind of does that for you a lot of cases. So I'm with these guys. It's threaded.
Yep. Sounds like it's almost a unanimous so far. Mike, what about you?
No experience with threaded in a rimfire. On a centerfire, threaded all day long.
George, I know you got experience.
It don't make any difference. A good shooting rifle is a good shooting rifle, whether it's pinned or whether it's threaded. That said, it's better to go threaded just for the advantage of being able to change barrels yourself.
So, would you trade that custom rifle you got to Mike's Mark II?
Probably, yeah.
I'll throw in
Pull up
some
your
of
pass
this.
sign.
Look at that.
What is
Look out
that?
now! I'm out of ammo, so I've got to order some. I was
Pistol
looking at it a while
match.
ago.
What? I've never
Good
seen that
stuff.
box before. What is
Me
that?
either. Someone brought a
That's
brick of this into my work to be disposed of this week. I've never seen it. Just
That's
teasing you
the old good
guys.
stuff, buddy. That's at least, yeah, that's 20-year old, brother.
7 full boxes in there. I've never seen Pistol Match Special in a gold box before. So
Shoots good.
more to come.
Most of that shot really well.
Wow. What's the whack? What's the lube look like on it? Are they dried up?
We will see. I
Shouldn't
hadn't
be.
looked it up myself.
May have to get you some preparation H to lube them back up.
Section H will fix them. Oh,
It's
they
not
look
old
Nope,
enough
not
that
at
it
all.
should be
look
dried up.
good.
Yeah, Billy, it's only slightly disturbing. It's okay.
Better than that stuff George was shooting the other day.
Yeah.
I got some of that multi match, George, and it's the same way. It's all dried up on the tips.
Just
you gonna
So,
send that
call out
shit to
side
me,
chat,
brother.
Chad?
huh?
Did call it side chat.
Yeah, I'm getting ready to do that.
Okay.
Uh, Hillbilly, you want to call that side chat out?
Yeah, sure. If
He's
I can go
asleep.
back up here and find where we started at. See here. So, okay, I found it. Kentucky Rimfire and Hobbies was the first one in there. I'm living in West Virginia. Good to see you out there. We also got Darwin Harris, Hasbro, Vince Ratliff, Roger Cochran. We got Fuku YT. Hey, Boom. How you doing? We got Vanessa Kitty out there. We got Rimfire Dave. We got Lead Forever. Or Lead Fever, sorry. We also got Ron 2A Matters. We got Abigail out there. Garage Guy 879. We got Southern Rifle out there. And let me scroll on down here. And we also had Mr. Bob Davalina show up out there. Welcome, buddy. Good to see each and every one of you. And we got Ronald Eastman. Welcome, everybody. Good to see you out there. And I'll try to keep my eyes open in case we get somebody new jump in here, too. Or if I missed you, please say something.
Yeah, so we'll keep this thing rolling on along here, and our next topic is bolt throw angles and degrees and the number of recoil lugs. We'll throw all that into one, and I really don't have an opinion on this. As long as my bolt knob ain't hitting my scope, I can work with it. So we'll pass that on to Justin.
I'm kind of the same way. Most of the rifles I have are Winchester 52s of different flavors, and um,
He has,
anything.
bro. He's got 52s, has, bro. He can give you one.
Right? Hasbro on it.
Okay, I'll mark up one of Chad's and send it right
Yeah,
to you.
okay, that'll work. I don't care.
But really don't matter to me. I think like 3 lug tridents is pretty big right now, and I guess that's probably a 60-degree bolt throw if you have 3 lugs. Could be wrong. Not sure about that. Um, Most of everything I have is 52 actions, or clones of in rimfire.
How about you, Dave? Angle of their bolt and number of recoil
Well,
lugs.
obviously, I like a 60-degree throw, which is a 3 lug. I think they're a lot smoother. But there's nothing wrong with a 2 lug either. I don't have a favorite. I think they're both wonderful, and I like them both as long as they're a single shot.
Hillbilly.
Well, yeah, I mean, as long as it misses the scope, and I can easily access it. I've thought about changing a few out before, but just haven't ever done it yet. I mean, not to say if I was shooting somebody else's rifle and I really, really liked their, bolt throw on that, then, that would probably change my mind. But, you know,
You just go home and take a torch and heat yours up and bend it over.
exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow,
Definitely. And Abby says
that's a
she
tough.
posted one in Gary's deal. I'll look for it, Abby, see if I can find it.
Yeah. So, uh, what about you, Hasbro?
Um, it depends on the gun, right? Like I have on 1022s, I replace them all because I hate that little hook thing. But you don't use it that much, so it doesn't really matter. I mean, you just use it to charge, right? Whereas a bolt gun, you're going to run it every day, and you better be comfortable. So the CZ 457 is the one I've replaced most recently. It's got the little round knob. It's fine, but there are better out there. So I put an Area 4119 on the end of it. It just seems to me to fit my big hands better, so I'm comfortable. I don't think about it, and I can come on and come off of it. So, yeah, I change them out on the bolt guns typically.
Mike?
I really have no preference. You get accustomed to it. If you shoot the rifle enough, you get accustomed to whatever it has, and you learn how to manipulate it and shoot it.
Yep.
Boomstick? I'm going to say that if it was available, it would be RWSR 50.
Okay. Here's what Abby was saying a while ago. See, what she said it was
Inch.
20. I forget what degree she said that was. 20 degree bolt on that one. See, I don't know if I can make it any bigger or not. Yeah, I guess that's a 20-degree there.
So she can just unscrew her boat handle and screw in a new one. It's also how you switch the firing pins. So, George,
It it doesn't really matter to me. I'm a big Remington fan, so I kind of like that longer stroke. What more means more to me is, like Mike said, the boat handle, the boat knob. The one on my 40X looked like it come off a Kindle. It's large. I like a big boat handle. Other than that, it doesn't matter.
Hillbilly, that was her 20-inch gun that she was talking about. Had a 6-pound trigger.
Okay. Well, that's the only picture I seen over there when she said she'd posted one with a 20-degree on his deal. So, okay. Cool.
She was talking about a 20-inch barrel that would
Okay.
shoot a man at 500 meters with a 6-pound trigger. We got Kenny jumping in here from Eagle Eye Shooting.
Hey,
Welcome,
Kenny.
buddy.
And he says he don't know my email. It is toyotachad@outlook.com. And that's probably in the banners, ain't it? See if I still got that.
Yeah. Let me pull it up here for you.
There it is. I'm scrolling across the bottom.
All right.
Yep. And all right, so before we go into the next topic, I want to run through some pictures here that we earlier to show off. And I guess I could have showed some of these off when people was talking about actions that they liked, but this also serves a purpose because we're going to talk about what's you prefer as far as a left-hand bolt or right-hand bolt, left-hand injection port or right-hand injection port. So I'm just going to run through these pictures that we pulled up here, and this is a right-hand bolt with the right-hand port, and it's a voodoo action. This one here's a right-hand bolt, right-hand port Remex action. Here's another voodoo action that I can't tell with all that shiny. I think that's a right-hand bolt with maybe, is that a left-hand port? No.
That's a right-hand port.
No.
It's right and right, I think.
Yep, it
right
is.
and right. Yep. That's the CST actions that we were talking about earlier. This is the action that I've picked to build my first rifle with. And I mean, I don't know much about them, but that's in my price range, and that's what I'm going to try.
It's 40X, they're good action.
Yeah.
Stiller made a really good action.
This one here, I don't remember what it was. This might be is this a 2500? I can't remember
That's
what
a
that
turbo.
Turbo,
Yeah,
turbo. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. I screenshot these pictures. I can't remember which is which. And then there's
definitely a turbo.
That's the
1022.
Summit Quartz in action we talked about. There's the 2500X whole shot action.
Right hand bolt, left
that
hand.
is a right hand bolt with a left hand port.
Mm-hmm.
And then the only other one I had was the Begara action that we were talking
B14.
about earlier. That's a B14.
B14,
That's a
yes.
carbon barrel there. So, with after showing those pictures, what is your preference? What side do you wish your boat handle was on, and which side do you prefer your loading port on? And I already shared with you guys that I am right-handed, so I want a right-hand boat, left-hand port. Justin,
Most of my rifles are, well, everything I have is right hand bolt. Because I'm right hand shooter, so I prefer a right hand bolt. I have a 52 pre A that's milled all the way across, like you were saying. You can load from left or right. That's pretty cool. You're probably sacrificing some strength on the action by it being cut away that much, but we are talking rimfire. But I've got used to loading right hand, but I would really consider a left hand loading port if I build a custom rifle.
so Kenny says that he is in production with his action, and he's aiming to have a few to give away. So, hey, you got my email.
He's got mine.
Yeah. So I'm working on building a rifle right now. Yeah, I need to try one of those out. So no, I'm sure it's good. I mean, I've watched your videos, watched your work. You do good work. So uh, Abigail says she's a right-handed, so she sticks with her right-handed configurations. Dave, what do you prefer?
I'm a right bolt, left port on my Benchrest guns. And the factory guns, I actually shoot a left-handed gun. Because I have the port on the side I can see it. I just work with my left hand. I like the port where I can see into it. But if I have my choice, it's a right bolt, left port all the way.
Vince says that he missed the drop actions.
Kind of bypass that.
Yeah, we ain't building no Martini Internationals or nothing here. I
That's a
guess
very
that's what
strong
he.
action, though.
Yeah, it is. It is. So, what about you, Hillbilly? You prefer a right hand or left hand bolt? And
Well, since I recently had to switch over to left-handed, my action, all my guns are, it's right-handed action, and I don't find that a problem, to be honest with you. I mean, it's you know, so I don't really know. I mean, I would think I would agree with a lot of you guys where shooting right-handed, right hand action with left hand feed. I think that would be really ideal. Um, but yeah, if I'm staying left handed, I might hopefully I don't have to stay left handed, but yeah, I think the right handed bolt with even a right hand feed would work for me. I'm just used to that, that right hand, doing a lot of stuff anyhow, as far as the actions anyhow. So it'd be hard for me to switch left handed, I think, to left handed action.
so Kenny says we need falling block actions. Yep,
Yeah.
they work. I mean, they work great. Hasbro.
I don't own one, but I have shot one in a 6mm Benchrest, and yeah, that left-hand loading port's nice. You can stay on targets, keep your cheek well, do everything else. It's just that is an advantage. Can you overcome it? Certainly you can. It's discipline. But if I had my rathers, it would be left-hand port loading, right-hand bolt, and ejection to the right.
Look at that comment, Hasbro.
Oh, Kenny. Yeah, we got to talk. Yeah, we got to talk about that.
That is
Speaking of
very,
that, I have left hand, right hand. When it comes to that, I mentioned last week that Douglas barrel gun I have. It has an original Gulcher lock and triggers, right? But the lock is a left-handed lock, and they built those a lot. And the reason they did is to keep the flash out of your right eye when you're looking down
Yep.
that barrel. I don't know it's that big a deal for a cap gun, but for a flint,
yep.
A good idea.
How about you, Mike? Right hand, left hand, ejection port, and bolt.
I've always wanted, from my F class time, I really wanted to either build or buy a Savage 12 action that was a left-handed shooter's action, left-hand bolt, left-hand single shot feed for FTR class because I've never shot one, but I just feel like it would be so much better. Everything on a bag, cheek well in place, hand into the stock, keeping everything in place, and then doing everything over here and never moving my eye relief or anything by just, you know, because I can shoot ambidextrous. I do it all the time in PRS. So that's, again, never done it, but I think that that's the way to go if you could teach yourself to be able to shoot it because when you're shooting Benchrest anything, you're breaking something, whether it's right hand, left hand action, and then you want to feed. You're at some point you're breaking and you're taking one of your hands off the rifle. But if I could do everything like this and keep this all day long, to me that seems like that would be the way to go. But I'm probably crazy.
No, you're right on.
Yep.
It is.
So, Nibs sent me an email when the show first started and said he was available to get on the panel if I wanted to send him a link. Nibs, I didn't check my email and I just got it, buddy, and it's a little late, but maybe next week we can get you on. I apologize. This is all new to me, and I got so much going on here. I don't have the enough fingers and toes to check my email, so I didn't mean to ignore you or leave you out. But I will get you on here someday. George, what's your preference? Right hand, left hand bolt, right hand, left hand ejection port.
Right bolt, left port. Just for a simple reason, especially on bench rest, where you got your gun sitting on your rest, you can see with a left port what's going on. If something you have to clear around and it gets stuck or whatever might happen, any kind of jam, you can see it. You don't have to flip your gun over on the side and look or whatever. I haven't had a martini action yet.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Me and Dave made a deal, and I'll have one in a few days. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, well, congratulations, I guess.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I want to add something. Like what George was saying, from being able to see through that, like a right-handed shooter, left-handed port, just being able to see into your chamber from a safety standpoint. That's pretty cool idea there. You can see if you have a loaded chamber or not, or if the chamber's clear.
There's Chad Kelly joining in. So
Ted.
next next topic we got is integral scope base. You prefer your action to be drilled for a scope base and tapped, or do you prefer it to be integrated into the mold itself? So like the 1022 action that I told you that I bought, the Picatinny rail is part of the action. It is not a bolt on, bolt take off. You can't take it on and off. It's made into the action. It's all part of the mold. So you prefer it to be part of the mold, or do you just prefer to be able to put a rail on and off? So George, we'll start with you and go back around the horn.
I'd rather be integrated, molded in, as you say. just less to go wrong. There's no
Yeah, so
screws to come loose
can't
or
work its
anything
way
like that.
loose. You ain't got to worry about Loctite and all that.
Right.
Screw hole stripping out. Uh, Mike,
It, kind of mixed emotions or feelings on that. I mean, I like an Anschutz, whatever the degree of the and it's not just Anschutz, but CZ does it and stuff like that. But it can be problematic finding other things that will mount on that. If I get what we're talking about, where
Yeah.
if it's
oh,
just there's 4 holes drilled in certain spots, I can slap a myriad of different aftermarket stuff on it. So,
I think it's a CZ's got like a 11-degree dovetail or something like that.
yep,
It's
yep.
11
something odd.
millimeter.
Yep.
11 millimeter dovetail. That's what it meant.
Yeah.
And I think Anschutz is the same or really similar. But I had an Anschutz, one of the first ones I bought, and I had a heck of a time trying to find rings to mount up to it to the diameter scope I wanted to use. And it was just, oh, why did I do this?
Kenny says he has found actions made with separate scope rails are more true to actions. It's harder to machine and straighten an integrated features as it requires multiple step operations versus 1 to 2 mil CNC ops. So that makes sense from a builder's standpoint, and that's why we need to have you on this show someday. Send me an email.
Send me a Mark II barrel.
Forget the Mark II barrel. I want
Yeah,
I want one of the new actions.
I'm with you. I'm with him.
Yeah. So, all right. So Hasbro, what do you think? Integral or
Um, I like the idea of integral, but that I said, the ones that are screwed on and done right are crazy accurate. They're fine. The thing I don't like about integral is most of them out there are offering 0 MOA. And that just ticks me off. It's like, I want at least 20, and that's what I want to buy. And you find it's actually very difficult to buy that. So I end up buying flat top receivers, putting my own rail on there and doing all that
so
for that reason.
for 50-yard bench rest shooting, which is what I do the most of, you don't need any MOA.
You don't. You don't.
And
But I
that's
shoot past that.
like the yeah, right. So the Bagara BMRX that I got, it come with a 30 MOA rail, and I like about 4 clicks of being able to get down all the way on my scope. So like,
Yeah.
all right, so I'm all the way bottomed out on my scope, and I'm still shooting about 4 clicks high. So I have to hold low to hit. So I'm gonna have to take that rail off and put a 20 MOA rail or a 0 MA rail or a 10 MOA rail just to get my scope zeroed correctly.
And I
Get you
have
some
20. My
burrs.
scopes have enough travel to get me to 400, but that's
Yeah, that or
really
I could
pushing it,
change
right?
right, or I could change scopes, but
Yeah.
I like that old Diamondback Tactical.
Yeah.
Get you some burst signature rings with the inserts and
Yep.
just
Oh,
reverse the
yeah.
ends.
Yeah.
You
That's
can
what I
do
told him,
that.
George.
Yep.
Yeah, that's the best way to do it. Easiest way to do it anyway.
Yeah. You can
I'm not
custom
like
any offset that way.
I'm not like this
Yeah.
guy over here though. He'll pull a scope off and switch it and put it back and like when I get mine set, I like to leave it alone. I don't I don't like switching scopes to different guns and all that. Here he'll be uh 10 minutes before a match starts and he'll switch scopes out and sit down and do a one shot zero, and I don't know, I'm too anxious to do that. So
Well, this guy will take the scope off, put it back on for his other eye. He'll do
Yeah.
that.
long way, Hasbro. Okay, Hillbilly. What about you? Integral scope base or drilled and tapped and bolt on scope base?
All mine's been, I think pretty much everything got is drilled and tapped, for the most part. Um, Man, I don't know. I really don't have much of a comment on this. I've not seen any difference. I'm sure there is a lot of difference, but for me, like I said, I was more of a hunter, most of my life, and instead of a Benchrest shooter. So it's I really don't. I'll have to borrow George's sign from
You're passing.
I'll
All
rent it to
right.
you.
Dave?
Oh, definitely the screw-on bases, because I change bases all the time from 0 to 20 to 30, back to 0. Uh, I got to have the ability to change it. I like to change scopes, and I don't change them right before a match, but I change them a lot. So I got to have a screw-on base all the way.
Chad Kelly, thanks for jumping on. So, Justin?
See you, Chad.
So, where I was kind of getting at with that question when I did the agenda there, a lot of custom actions are grooved for like tally type bases or rings, I guess. And it's kind of what I was talking about. Or the Anschultz, have the 11 millimeter dovetail. Um, I personally, I like the idea of the integral because, it's machined all one part, nothing to come loose. It's a pretty cool idea. But when you get into MOAs, offsets, you're married to that one offset, so kind of got to give there. But drilled and tapped, most of my stuff's drilled and tapped, um, and I'm fine with that, just so it's not something odd that you can't find a different height rings and stuff for, But most stuff now is Picatinny, Weaver style, I guess. Um, if it's integral with Weaver, there's a plethora of different diameter rings and heights and all that stuff. So I guess that's my take.
Yeah, so only the only rifle that I can say I like the integrated rail is on my 1022s.
Yeah, that's really
Uh,
neat.
it just it works for those. But as far as my bolt guns, my Benchrest rifles, I would rather have bases and drilled and tapped. So, all right. So, Justin, I don't think we're getting into the triggers portion tonight. We're at 11:17. We got a few more minutes and just we got a few more questions here on action. So, real quick, we're running around the room. Do you prefer your bolt to cock on the lift, uh, or do you prefer it to cock on the closed bolt? So, George?
I
You
kind
cut
of
out,
like it on
Chad.
the lift.
Okay,
Uh,
George.
I kind of like it on the lift. But again, I'm a Remington shooter, so I'm just used to that. It doesn't make a whole lot of difference to me. I'm like a I'm like a bar door. I swing both ways.
Be careful with that comment.
Yeah,
Well,
Keep it
yeah,
PG.
hillbilly killed a PG-13. He might just go nuts
Yeah.
on you.
yeah, that's right.
Eagle Eye says, I'm not totally sure what the final price will be. It's showing like it'll fall in the same price range as a Remex. Uh, I left no expense in using the 17.4 material with DLC coating and S7 on all others. So Hasbro was trying to get some quotes from him there. Uh, um, and he's working on a Mark II option, Mike. He found a way to thread the action and make a 900 barrel. That's awesome news right there. That is
Yep,
awesome
it
news.
is.
Yep.
Be the first person
So,
out there to do it.
because not everybody out here can afford a Remix or a Voodoo or, but they could afford to put a little bit of money into a Savage. And we've already seen Savages will shoot. So, shoot,
Hey, Kenny.
I got the short barrel Savage and it shoots. So
I want Kenny to take that bolt and make it smooth. That's the bigger challenge.
get rid
That
of the
savage
zipper.
bolt is just, you got to learn it.
Yeah, it sounds like a zipper. Zip.
Yeah.
Um. So, what about you, Mike? Uh, you prefer it to cock on the lifting of the boat handle, or does it not matter? Or
Doesn't matter. No preference as long as it cocks. The only time I don't like it is when it doesn't cock.
and Hasbro.
I've only shot cock on close on some vintage rifles, and they weren't mine. I just thought it was unique. Everything else I've ever shot's cock on open, so I guess I don't have a huge preference other than what I've used. So.
Really? Are you holding up the sign again?
Yeah, I mean, I really don't. I wouldn't have a preference. I don't think. To be honest with you.
Yeah, I don't think I do either. As long as it cocks and it goes bang and it's accurate, I love it. I'll cherish it. Dave, do you have a preference on cocking on the lift of the boat or cocking on the
I'd
closing?
rather be on the lift, but I could shoot either way. Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Justin?
Probably cock on lift. It really don't matter. I guess you really have to be nitpicking to have a preference on this, but I think probably cock on lift probably lends to be a smoother bolt just by nature. If it's cock on close, as you're camming over, closing it, maybe a little,
Driving that spring
yeah,
back.
you're driving it home and, a lot more frictions
Yep.
building up, So probably
So
cock on lift probably tends to be smoother.
so just thinking this through right here real quick. I know I said I don't have a preference, but if it's cock on lift, you've chambered around, the trigger didn't set. You can lift it and cock it and put it back down without dispensing that round. So
Yeah.
uh, that would be one advantage of cock on lift. Uh, you don't have to worry about pulling your round back out of the chamber. So, all right. So this next one here is over my head. I'm not sure what we're talking about here, but it's pin over spring versus spring over pin, POS versus SOP, firing pin systems. Justin, you want to go first since you know what you're talking about here?
I know enough to be dangerous, but hoping somebody can enlighten me on it. I understand what it means, but I'm not sure as far as the debatable fact of it. What's better, So spring over pin is traditional firing pin with a spring on the outside of it, and then there's a new system, new technology now. A lot of people are dabbling, I guess, with like a hollow back on the firing pin, and the spring is captured inside of it. I guess I'm explaining that right, but I went down a rabbit hole reading on that one night, and hopefully somebody can enlighten us on what's better or why it would be better.
That man sitting beside you might be able to.
That's what I'm hoping
Here,
for.
watch this. Right over my head.
Okay, I think it's a new thing they're trying on the V3 Diorio
I have no idea.
turbos.
I
I
got it.
have the
I mean,
new I have the new V3
Okay.
turbo, and it's an internal spring. You have to buy a special tool to take it out, but I don't see much difference. Oh, I
Yes,
see what you're talking about. Yeah, because the other one, the spring's on the outside. This one,
yes,
the spring's on the inside.
yes.
Yeah. I guess, gee, I don't know. Yeah, my turbo is different, but I
To my knowledge, that's the first case that anybody has changed that. Went from the spring being captured inside the firing pin. So
Mike,
no
go ahead
idea.
and enlighten us, buddy.
Yeah, I don't. I know what you're talking about now, but
Mike, you said you had something. Go ahead and enlighten us.
Yeah. Well, they're both acronyms, right? And my military training tells me that SOP is standard operating procedure, and POS is piece of, so
Excrement.
it's that
Yeah,
simple. Okay, so you
Mike
got
knows.
standard operating procedure and you got piece of something. So
Eh.
So the Savage has the POS spring.
no, they've got the standard operating one.
Sorry, Mike. I had to take a jab at you.
yeah,
No, it's all good, man. It's all good.
All right,
clear,
so
and it's crystal clear now.
Hasbro, do you got anything on this?
I got nothing.
Yeah, me neither. I mean, Justin, leave it up to Justin to come up with something we don't have a clue on. Kenny, chime in there. Do you want a SOP or a POS?
Yeah, POS. Now that Mike's defined it.
No, you need an SOP. You
Yeah,
need
that was
something
good, Mike.
standardly operates and proceeds.
Hillbilly, I know you got nothing.
Nah.
Hard pass on that one.
I've heard the
George,
word POS
George,
way
you're being
more.
quiet down there. Are you getting ready to tell us all about this?
Man, I wish you guys
I'm
could have been
waiting,
a part of
George.
the chats and stuff that went on over on Rimfire Accuracy. Uh, Jerry Stiller and Calfee talking about springs and whether 6 o'clock ignition or 12 o'clock ignition. Man, all that shit's over my head. It's fun to it's fun to read about stuff like that. And when Calfee and Stiller were at war over it, man, that was something to watch. But no, I
George,
don't.
those threads is where I got that from. Taking deep dives and
Abigail
going down a rabbit hole on that.
Abigail
Yeah,
Finnegan said she used to drive a POS.
yeah.
All right, here might be what we was all waiting for right here.
Nope.
All right, we got nothing. Moving on. Crest firing pins, springs, or versus traditional flat firing pin. And I think we got an illustration for this, don't we? Maybe.
We have the aftermath of the crescent firing pin.
I don't either, because the format of that picture you sent me, it wouldn't. It was in the wrong format. It wouldn't upload.
Okay.
So I might be able to. Let me
Find the
see if I
phone
can.
real quick.
Let me see if I can show it this way right here. Send that
So
to me.
send it back.
Ha-
You should
You
you should
send it.
have it
Do you
in a
send it
text.
to?
So this topic is a crescent firing pin versus the traditional flat firing pin.
Hmm.
And
Here we go.
Yeah.
I think Jeff Patterson is using the crescent firing pin on a lot of his builds. The the two on the left are crescent firing pin strikes. It makes more contact with the rim for better ignition. I guess the thought of that is in case there's a void in the priming compound in the rim where it's making more purchase. You have a more consistent ignition. It looks like it wouldn't be as detrimental to dry firing on a chamber, empty chamber.
Hmm.
So, like George was
Yeah,
talking
you got a
about,
lot
like
of
the
chambers.
6 o'clock ignition and 12 o'clock ignition. I think they're using a 6 o'clock ignition with that crescent firing pin on the new turbos. Dave might be able to enlighten us on that.
Does anybody got
Yeah,
any input on that? Versus crescent versus flat pin, flat firing pin, or the timing of a firing pin?
The clocking, like 6 o'clock or
Clocking,
12.
yeah.
so, so I have some rifles that it's a 12 o'clock firing pin and a 6 o'clock. I don't think it makes a difference as long as the firing pin hits the rim. I I I don't know about this crescent. You know, uh, I can see where it would help if you wanted to dry fire your gun. But if you put a crown on a gun, instead of cutting the exactor slots, you can't dry fire them because with the flat one, you'll definitely put a mark on it.
Mm-hmm.
But not many people put crowns on them. They all cut grooves in them. But I'm still old school. I put the crowns on for timing purposes. But as for firing pin, I don't have a preference. You'll have to ask somebody smarter than me.
So I think the logic with the 6 o'clock firing pin position is the powder is laying in the bottom of the case because of gravity and ignition coming from the bottom. Supposedly a cleaner burn. No idea. But a 12 o'clock firing position, the powder is laying in the bottom of the case. So it's like throwing fire, a shower of fire on top of the powder. It's burning from top
Well,
down.
but the
It's all
primer
doing the
is
same
put
thing.
in and then it's
It's
spun.
fun,
So the
right?
primer is all the way around it.
Exactly. But the powder, because of
So
gravity, if it ain't
yeah, it
100%
would
case
be at the
fill, it's laying at the bottom. Unless it was a compressed loader,
I know
yeah.
it's an interesting
yeah,
thought because I know from muzzleloader building, right? What we do there is we put the touch hole right at the face of the breech. And in fact, what I'll do when I build mine is cut a half round groove on the breech face. So the ignition tends to go behind the main charge, or at least towards the back
to
of
the
it.
back of it, yes.
And that's supposed to be an accuracy. I can't tell you if it does. It's just what I was taught to do it.
Yeah.
And if you think about rimfire, I don't think you'd want it to come down on top of the powder if it's not completely full. I think you'd want to come in at the side or the bottom. But just based on
Right.
muzzleloaders, I don't know if that's right or not.
That's deep down the rabbit hole, of thought. But
Probably.
So Abigail says she don't really have a ton of experience in rimfire, just a couple thousand rounds in her life. So Abigail, the name of this channel is Let's Talk Benchrest, and I know that we get a lot of rimfire discussion going on here, but future plans is we're going to take this thing through a little rimfire, then we're going to go into some centerfire, and we're not just going to talk about rimfire all the time. So just hang around; it's going to get better, and
it's going to get more expensive as we
it's
go.
going to get more expensive. When we get into
Isn't that
centerfire,
the
yeah.
truth?
So,
It won't get any
but
better.
that covers all of our topics on actions, and we don't have enough time to move on into triggers. Justin had some trigger discussion on here just in case we didn't make this long enough, but it actually timed out just right. Mike, you got something?
Just something is a train of thought, and I don't know that it makes one bit of difference or nothing. Something else for you to go down a rabbit hole and think about here tonight. I was in the field artillery for 20 years, Canyer, on the gun line, gun bunny, put, bullet into, put powder into, put primer into, pull string, gun go boom. The location of the primer, and here's like a M119 or 8 primer and what it looks like. It's about the size of it's it's big. And the primer location on a 19 or 8 howitzer, where this goes in at, as far as what Justin was saying with the powder, it's at the 6 o'clock position. And it's at the 6 o'clock position on all howitzer systems because that powder charge that you put in is in there loose and it is sitting down and gravity is taking it to the 6 o'clock position. So again, not saying that that's right or wrong, but as a field artillery guy for over 20 years, it's the way we did it with that. And a lot of what we're talking about here in the gun world has its roots in artillery.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So good night, Dale Pogue.
Not Dale, and also Chad. We also had Surrender Park jump in a while ago after we called out
Yes,
the.
I saw that, but um, welcome Surrender Park, and thank you everybody that got in on the side chat tonight. Great interaction over there. I think at one point I saw as high as 34 viewing, and I know it's a late night show, so I appreciate everybody hanging in there and staying with us. Um, we'll be back next week with another piece to the putting the perfect rifle together. So we'll go around the room real quick, and everybody can plug their channel and what you got coming up. And I'll start off by saying I've had the week off. My wife had surgery on Monday, so I got through that. Got her home on Tuesday. She's recovering now, but I've been able to slip away and go to the range a few times this week, and even went to Justin's range this week. And I have videos scheduled 2 per week all the way through middle of June. I have videos already scheduled and ready to drop on YouTube. I've got that many edited and done this week. So
Wow.
I'm ahead of schedule and got content coming to you guys. And I appreciate everybody getting on this live show. It's been a success. It's taken off and went a lot faster for me than what I thought it would. And that's because of you guys and the support that you've given me. Not only the side chat, but you guys in the panel and future plans. Um, I do I do plan to take a break every once in a while from these discussions from the panel and have a guest host, and I'd like to do it kind of interview style to where we have someone like Kenny from Eagle Eye Shooting or Cyclops Joe, and then there will be 2 or 3 of us in the panel, and I'll let you know ahead of time who's going to be the guest, and we'll compile some questions to ask them in like an interview process for that show that night. So it's not always going to be all of us on here sharing our thoughts and opinions. I got other plans too to have some more experienced people on here to talk about Benchrest as well. So that's enough from me. Justin, what do you got coming up? I know you're going to get a turkey in the morning, and hopefully I do too.
Yeah. Yep. So Kentucky opener of the spring gobbler season starts in the morning. Um, then we have a rimfire match tomorrow at 2. So we got a pretty busy day planned tomorrow. So
You ain't gonna have a turkey shoot out there at the range.
yeah, we might.
Split what the closest in the V.
Yeah, yeah.
If he
I've been
can't
to a few
find
of
one,
those.
if he can't find one in the woods, Hillbilly, he knows where one's at.
Yeah.
You got one tied up.
I got a range bird.
Yeah.
Me and
All
Chad were
right,
shooting at a
Rimfire
range.
Dave. If y'all haven't checked out
Uh,
Rimfire Dave's channel, go over there and check him out. He's got a lot of great content. He shares a lot of valuable knowledge on there when it comes to Benchrest shooting. And Dave, what do you got coming up, buddy?
I was just looking at my calendar to see if I can drive out to Minnesota. He's got all these prizes, and he said, you know, I'd like to get some of them, but I don't know how far it is out there. Mike, how far are you from Chicago?
Uh,
You know?
I, you know, I don't know like mileage wise. I know people that drive it, in an afternoon all the time. Though I mean, it's a half a day drive from Chicago to where I'm at, just
Oh
south
boy.
of Minneapolis, St. Paul. That's
Oh,
nothing.
I'm 12 hours from Chicago.
Oh,
So that's a long way
Chee.
off.
Well, you just send your weapon to Mike's
y-
FFL and then jump on a plane and
Yeah.
I got stuff you can shoot.
yeah.
All right. I'm just glad to be here, everybody. I got a lot going on this week, but it's just great to be here. And you all have a great day and a great week.
It's a
Dave,
pleasure
Mike's gonna
having you
let you
on
shoot
here.
his Savage.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm gonna let him shoot the budget Mark II, the one screw budget Mark II. They'll probably win it.
I want the one with the
Billy, what you
black
got?
tape on it.
That's the
Yeah,
one.
that's the one. Hillbilly, what you got coming up, buddy?
Oh man, just put out a video. Was it yesterday on the anechoic suppressor, and so I got some more videos of that coming up. And then, of course, tomorrow night we got Guns Bearing Therapy, 9 o'clock Central, 10 o'clock Eastern. So if you ain't doing nothing, swing by and visit us. Always try to have a good time on there. And yeah, Rollis Carvelis is out there in the side chat too. He just jumped in.
Abigail was wishing my wife a quick recovery. I appreciate that, Abigail. Thank you. And J Delta 22, thank you for getting on and sticking with us tonight, buddy. Hasbro, what you got coming up, buddy?
No, not much. I'm always shooting something. I'll be out shooting tomorrow, 22, doing a couple scope reviews and really trying to dial in my Savage and my new KRG Bravo chassis. So Savage Mark II FV, Mike. We're going to find out. And it has more than one screw.
Yep, that 21-inch FV barrel is
It is
where
good.
it's at.
It has been really good. I just hate the plastic stock so bad. So I finally gave in. So if you need another stock, you let me know. I'll give you one. But then I've got this new 1022 kid build that I'm working on. I'm trying to get the trigger upgraded. If I get that done, it'll be out there tomorrow too. And I'm going to probably end up, harming some cans in the making of these videos. So we'll see how that goes.
And real quick before we jump over to Mike, there's Ron 2A Manners has plugged his link to his channel over here in the side chat. So you guys go check out Ron 2A Matters. He's a big supporter of me and Hillbilly, and you guys go check him out. Mike, what you got coming up, buddy?
Just before the start of the show tonight, I dropped a video on a CV Life Eagle Blaze. They're 5 to 25, 56 millimeter, 34 millimeter tube. Really impressed with the unboxing that I did with it. I'm hoping to get that out to the range and do some first person through the scope shooting with it, run it through its paces. And that scope was sent to me. It's the best CV Life that they've sent me so far. It's the top of their tier in rifle scopes. And it's supposed to be, it is going to be I say supposed to because just after unboxing it, I wanted to keep it, but it's supposed to be one of the prize items for the table. And I watched that video. It's already just in the unboxing. I'm like, this is a Strike Eagle in sheep's clothing all day long at half the price, in my opinion. But we'll see when I run it through some actual paces. Now tomorrow, I am shooting a center fire match down in Red Wing, the range that I'm doing my long gong match at. I loaded up a bunch of 6 arc tonight for that, and I'm going to try really hard to leave the cameras in the Jeep and concentrate on the shooting portion of a match for a change, but that probably won't happen. So you might see some of that later this week too.
Does CV Life got any higher magnification scopes that are second focal plane?
Yes, they have I have a Jackal Hall that I did a review on. It's a 6 to 24. That's second focal plane. They have a Bear something that I never got to review that is second focal plane that has better crosshairs and stuff in it. in my book, this one that they sent me that I unboxed tonight, if they would, and I asked them when they offered to send it to me. I said, "Do you make it in mil radians?" Because I wanted to put it on a rifle and shoot it in tomorrow's match, and they don't make it in MRADs, and that would have just been a disaster for me probably. So
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
with you, Mike.
I'm-
I've got 3 of those now, 3 different CV Life scopes they've sent me, and for the money, you're exactly right. It's hard to beat. I'm
that that
impressed.
that 1 to 6 LVPO that I did a week or so ago, that's probably staying on the rifle. I'm probably getting rid of, and I'm a Vortex boy, and I love them. They're sending me cool stuff, but it's better than the Crossfire 2 that I had on
Really.
that rifle.
Wow.
So
George, what you got coming up, buddy?
Till the weather breaks, not much, man.
Not much.
I'm I'm
You
I'm hoping to
you
have a
better have a
Martinez to
video on a
test here.
BSA.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
That's my hope. But
it
that
can it
that'll
can
be,
rain and storm, and you get that rifle, you're going to the range.
yeah,
Yeah.
probably.
Yeah. We need to see
Well, the
some of
range
that
is out
falling
out the
block
back
action.
door, so yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
All right. I guess I got everybody. I didn't leave anybody out, did I? All right, guys. That's a
No.
wrap. Uh, join us
Okay.
back.
Good night, everybody.
Join us back next week
Good night, Dave.
at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for Let's Talk Benchrest. Thank you, everybody, for getting on the side chat. Thank you for everybody on the panel. Let's say good night, everybody.
Not
All
all.
right,
Night,
everyone.
everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Have a good one.